Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm back with 5 all new fall decor DIYs. As usual, each project is super easy and affordable to create. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you do, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it. Now let's go ahead and get started. For the first DIY in today's video, I'm going to be starting with one of these unfinished wood round pieces from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to be staining it with my folk art wood tint in the color Walnut. Once this piece is all stained, I'm then going to be using these 2 unfinished wood mini candlesticks. These ones are also from Hobby Lobby, and I'm staining them with that same walnut tint. Another piece I'm going to be using in this project is this unfinished wooden pumpkin shape, and this one did come from Dollar Tree this year. I'm just going to be removing the tag off of the back, and then I'm painting the entire pumpkin with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory. After I had the pumpkin painted, I then noticed that I had this really pretty craft paper with pumpkins on it that I wanted to use on top instead. So here I'm just cutting that paper down to where it'll fit over top of my pumpkin, and then I'm using some matte Mod Podge on the pumpkin so that I can apply the paper to the very top. Then I'm going to be placing the paper over top, just pressing out any of the bubbles that are underneath, and then I'm going to be letting that dry for about 15 minutes before I go in with some sandpaper, and I'm just sanding away all the excess paper around the edges of the pumpkin shape. Once I have that sanded off, I'm then going to be taking some more of that matte Mod Podge and just sealing the paper onto my pumpkin. Next, I'm using some hot glue on the top of one of the candlesticks, and I'm going to be attaching it to the top of the second candlestick. I'm then going to be using some hot glue to attach those right in the center of my stained wood round. Next, you can probably guess, I'm going to be attaching the pumpkin right to the top of the candlestick. And this is my pumpkin shaped riser. I think it turned out so cute, and it would be perfect on a tiered tray this fall. Moving right along into DIY number 2, for this one I'm going to be using this unfinished wooden cube frame. Originally it's from Hobby Lobby, but I got mine at Goodwill for $3.99. As you can see, it is on a spinner and it just spins around. Next, I'm going to be taking off the top piece and then removing the frame glass as well as the backings from all 4 sides. I'm then going to be using my walnut colored wood tint on the base, the frame, and then also that wooden top piece. Then for the 4 backing pieces of my frames, I'm going to be painting them all with my Waverly paint in Ivory. I'm also going to be using 4 of these unfinished wooden pumpkin shapes. These ones I believe came from Michael's last year, and I'm going to be painting all 4 of them with a color from folk art called Pueblo, and then for the stems I'm just using a dark brown paint. I thought it would be really cute to add this wooden finial topper, so here I'm just getting a drill bit that's the same size as the bottom of the finial, and I'm drilling a hole right in the center of my top piece. I'm then going to be painting that finial with my ivory colored paint, and then I'm going to be just placing the bottom of the finial through the very top and then using some hot glue before I screw it all the way down just to hold it into place. I'm then going to be placing the backings back into all of their slots. I did leave the glass pieces out of this project. And then I'm going to start attaching my pumpkins right in the center of all of those ivory colored backing pieces. And I did the shorter pumpkin, then on the next side I would do the larger pumpkin, then the next side the shorter pumpkin, then the larger pumpkin on the last side. And then to add a little bit of detail, I made 4 really small raffia bows, and then I'm just going to be adding them to all 4 of the pumpkins right underneath their stems, and I'm just using some hot glue to attach them. And here is the piece all finished. I love how it turned out. I think it's a lot different than anything else that I've created for fall. And this is what it looks like all around. I wanted to let you guys see all sides, and I think it just turned out really cute and it was easy to do. Now moving into the third DIY for today. For this one, I'm going to be starting with one of these round foam balls. This one I got from Hobby Lobby from the Christmas section. And then here I'm just taking a small saw and just sawing off the top round portion of the ball. And then I'm also doing it on the bottom side of the ball so that I have kind of a flat side on both the top and bottom. I then needed a hole in the center. So here I'm just taking one of my drill bits and then just drilling out a large hole in the foam. Next, I'm going to be using some of this white macrame cord, and this one is from Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to first start by attaching it to the inside of my foam where that hole is. And I just attached it using some hot glue. I'm then going to be wrapping that cord around my foam. And I just continued doing that over and over again. And then I would use some hot glue just to keep the cord in place. Like every so often, after I would wrap it a few times, I'd add a little bit of hot glue and then continue wrapping some more. So once I have the entire piece wrapped in this cord, I just use the hot glue once again just to secure the end piece of my cord. This is what the piece looks like once it's all wrapped with that macrame cord. I'm then going to be adding one of these stem pieces that I had in my craft stash, and I just added it using some hot glue. And then of course you can tell I'm making a pumpkin. Now I'm going to be using some of these pretty floral pieces from Joann Fabrics, and I just cut them down to the size that I wanted, and then I'm hot gluing them around that stem piece at the very top of my pumpkin. I did want to add a little bit of pop of color, so here I'm adding some of this orange and cream color checked ribbon. I created a simple bow and then hot glued it in front of my stem, and then I'm adding one of these little wooden buttons right in the center of my bow. Here is my little pumpkin all finished. I am going to be creating so many more of these this fall, and I'll be using a different color of either macrame cord or yarn to create them. Next up is DIY number 4. For this one, I'm going to be using this really beautiful pumpkin placemat from Hobby Lobby. It was $6.99, but I got mine for 40% off. And I'm going to be using 2 of these same placemats for this project to create a pillow. First thing I did was just removed the large tag that was on both placemats. And then I'm going to be taking the first mat and placing it with the front side down. I'm then going to be taking my second one and placing that right over top of the other one with the pumpkin right side up. I'm getting the scalloped edges exactly the same so that they're even. And then here I'm just going to be hot gluing the edges together. I did the top and bottom of the placemats, and then as well as one of the sides. The other side I left open because that is where I'm going to be putting all of my polyfill to fill up my pillow. You could always use a fabric glue, or if you are a sewer, you could definitely sew these placemats together, but I just chose to do hot glue. So here I'm just using some polyfill that I had in my craft stash. I always have this on hand, and I'm just filling up the pillow, and then once I have all the polyfill in, I'm going back through with my hot glue and just closing up that very last side. And here we have my finished fall pillow. I think it looks so beautiful, and I was able to create this for about $8.50, so much cheaper than if I were to buy a fall pillow already made. Now we have the 5th and final DIY for today. This one is super simple. I recently picked this like tiered cutting board up from Michael's. It was like 75% off, so I think it was only like $3 or $4. And I'm going to be using this. My favorite color is October Stencil right on the front. So I'm getting it exactly where I want it to be, and then I'm just going to be using some tape to hold the stencil down, and then I'm going to be going in with my ivory colored paint from Waverly with a stencil brush and just stenciling that saying on the front of my cutting board. After the paint was dry, I then removed the stencil, but I did want to use some of that wheat or like flowers that are on the stencil, but I wanted them in a different place than they were like next to the words originally. So here I'm just going to be using some tape after I place it where I want it to be once again, and then just using that same ivory color to stencil on those flowers. This stencil is from Amazon, and I will try to have it linked down in my description box. This is what the piece looks like all finished. It was super simple, and I just think it turned out really cute. It might even be adorable with a little pumpkin set on top. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. As always, I love to know which project from today was your favorite, and please be sure to share my video. It always helps me out. Thank you so much for watching.